Hello everyone, happy Friday night to you all. Probably viewing this on Saturday. I hope your weekend's going well. Most of us probably know of the supposed assumption that a lot of UFO tech is known about. Bob Lazar, reverse engineered things. And these government agencies, these dark projects, will work with corporate entities to then slowly disseminate that kind of technology into the public to kind of keep the chosen companies, the approved companies, the ones that'll work with them at the cutting edge of society, at the cutting edge of technology. But what happens when some of those interests run away, Here, jumping right into it, we have a leaked Department of Defense threat scenario documents. Just reading from it, it says the science exists for any enemy of the United States to deliver a weapon virtually anywhere on the planet at any time without detection or interdiction using camouflage, virtually instantaneous acceleration and maneuvering, jamming, little to no detectable signatures. DoD advantage. DoD has personnel that understands the physics, personnel that can exploit the technology, personnel who can protect the program, and no similar program exists outside of the Department of Defense. That almost directly stipulates that these things, obtained by enemies of the United States came from the Department of Defense, right? We know about Operation Timber Sycamore, CIA's operation to fund international rebels under the Obama administration, kind of arming places like the Middle East, like the Taliban that's risen to power right now, in order to protect the interests of the CIA, Department of Defense, Pentagon, all of it. ATIP preliminary assessments, realization that many of the findings, if used against the United States, can prove to be decisive game changers for our country. Preliminary evidence indicates the United States is incapable of defending itself towards some of these technologies. The nature of these technologies is and the fact that the United States has no countermeasures is considered highly sensitive. I wonder here if this isn't, let's be honest, this did leak, right? It's not like, it's still up on Reddit. It's not like this isn't kind of an approved leak, right? You wonder if this kind of goes hand in hand with Lou Elizondo's fear-mongering of what the UFO phenomena is. But we continue. Action items. Establish unacknowledged waived secret access projects with bigoted list of support for the ATIP program, DoD Special Access Programs Commanding Officer Office. Reassign billets, resources, and recommended personnel to a dedicated DoD ATIP support office. Reestablished ATIP reporting chain of command. Congressional personnel associated with the ATIP programs. You would think that this does actually feed directly into Lou Elizondo. He's out of the picture now. We have to reassign resources, recommended personnel, all of that. Here is a map of reported events in the U.S., military facility, nuclear facility equipment. I will zoom in here, but it seems like these reported events coincide almost directly with where these nuclear facilities, these military facilities are conducting these projects. I believe here it is stipulating that they are not connected, that this is a reported event. This is a ET, a UFO, an enemy of the United States, scoping out what the United States is doing. Initial assessment of areas of high activity is what this slide is called. These happen all over the place. You see the giant dot in the Middle East. You see the dot over Moscow, in the UK, over Japan, Brazil, Chile. We know these are places where there's work being done currently, right? Now, the older version, the other version of this leak, says that psychotronic weapons, cognitive human interface, penetration of solid surfaces, instantaneous sensor disassembly, alteration, manipulation of biological organisms, anomalies in space-time construct, unique cognitive human interface experiences are all part of this. I will refer back to my gateway process video. It seems like a furthering of these abilities, of these alterations to time-space. The DoD has been involved in similar experiments in the past. We know this exactly, actually, per their own words here in these leaked slides. So what do we make of this? Who are the non-US people doing these things? We refer here to a unexplainedmysteries.com Russian general. We've been summoning UFOs for over 30 years. Russia is said to have knowledge of extraterrestrial beings for more than 20 years, and many respected former high-ranking officials have been trying to disclose certain aspects for some time, but face a lot of adversity from the media, who either ignore them or cite them as untrustworthy sources. During the Soviet era, the Defense Ministry worked on engineering a human with superpowers. In the course of these experiments, a team of scientists was somehow able to communicate with alien life forms. The man in charge of this classified assignment later talked to journalists. Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev has recently asked an unusual question. REN TV correspondent asked him, as a former president, if that were true. Together with the nuclear briefcase, the head of state was presented with a classified folder with materials about UFO. Medvedev said this was true. In addition to the folder, the head of the state was presented with a report from the secret services whose task was to control the aliens on Russian territory. When asked by journalists if there was any aliens living among us, he refused to elaborate so as not to create a panic. However, he did suggest that interest in that subject watch a documentary chronicle called Men in Black. I mean, pretty interesting points here from the former prime minister. He basically said, I've said it a lot, Hollywood doesn't lie to us. The Will Smith movies, Men in Black, aren't exactly lying. They walk among us, around us. We interact with them a lot. But the important part here is that the KGB, in trying to give someone superpowers, learned how to summon UFOs and make contact with them. Call it CE5, kind of, before Stephen Greer started doing it. But if this was happening 20, 30 years ago, where are they with it now? What technology do they have of this now? Is this runaway social climate part of a shift in geopolitics of using alien tech to reform everything? One world order kind of thing. We turn also to the BBC, citing that Churchill ordered UFO cover-up. National Archives show. Papers also include a wartime account claiming Prime Minister Winston Churchill ordered a UFO sighting to be kept secret to prevent mass panic. Joint Intelligence Committee is better known for providing briefings to the government on matters relating to security, defense, and foreign affairs, but the latest batch of UFO files released from the Ministry of Defense to the National Archives show that in 1957, the committee received reports detailing an average of one UFO sighting a week. Back to that map that is on the DoD leak, these events happen in the UK. We know they happen in Moscow. We know that these happen in these places. So, even in the US here, we have to wonder why these alien tech, kind of in an Operation Timber Sycamore way, is being ran away with. The people that originally were under the thumb of the DoD kind of don't need them anymore. They are actually, yes, effectively running away with the technology given to them. We know that about $3 billion, I think, worth of equipment was left in Afghanistan to be used, right? Whether that was on purpose or not, anyone could stipulate. Here we turn to mintpressnews.com. Meet the man who funds ISIS, Bilal Erdogan, the son of Turkey's president. Russia's Sergei Lavrov is not one foreign minister known to mince his words. Just earlier today, 24 hours after a Russian plane was brought down by the country whose president 3 years ago said a short-term border violation can never be a pretext for an attack, we have serious doubts that this was an unintended incident and believe this was a planned provocation. Are these geopolitical confrontations, again, I ask you, are they uncontrolled, supposed to be controlled? You know, are they runaway events? Are people that are supposed to be slowly drop feeding UFO cutting edge tech into society not listening anymore, not staying under the thumb? a really interesting from thedrive.com right here on February 9th, 2021. Customs Border Protection helicopter encountered what it describes as a highly modified drone. I will scroll down here after, letting y'all read some of this article and let you listen to this call.
Can I help you? Hey, this is Chris at TPD. How are you? I'm doing good. Was that you up there helping us out? Well, yeah, I was on the desk doing all the paperwork, but my coworker Miguel was the one helping you guys out on frequency. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I appreciate your guys' help on that. I was really wanting to get our hands on that thing, but I think it's quite sophisticated. Yeah. Well, I feel like, I wasted you guys' time going out there, but Yeah. We had a 30-knot headwind out there, too, and that thing was still maintaining freaking 75 knots. And so it was super sophisticated. I'll give it that. And the duration that thing had and the abilities it had, pretty sophisticated. What are the chances we can get a tape of that from you guys? Is that possible? Yeah, you probably have to call management tomorrow during normal business hours. Okay. And they can they got to compile the audio and the visual portion, but we definitely have it. We can give it to you. Okay. The proper credentials are shared and everything.
Okay. Highly sophisticated. Maintaining 75 knots. They wanted to be able to get it to the ground, capture this thing, but they couldn't. I mean, whether this was just a really sophisticated drone from a, foreign entity, whether this was an alien UFO, whether this was a secret military project that Border Patrol didn't know about. You have to admit these reports are happening. They are everywhere. They go far back as, like I said, Winston Churchill covering things up. You have to also, coincidentally, only last month, 5 high-ranking military leaders died just in the span of 10 days, according to the Cuban government. Though no one's talked about why. Latest aging revolutionary to die. He passed away Monday. Also on Monday, Pacheco, former general who served under Argentine Ernesto Che Guevara during the revolution of the 1950s, passed away. You have to wonder, as this is being leaked the exact same time as those DoD documents, does one have anything to do with the other, I mean, the general who gave the order to shoot down civilian plane from Cuban exile group Brothers to Rescue in 1996 brings tension with the U.S. to a fever pitch. These people, much like the Haitian president, much like the presidents from African countries, they are dying in alarming numbers. So are they being replaced very quickly? It seems like it. Are they being replaced with more complicit people? Right. Now, in the same breath, nearly $50 billion floods into inflation-linked U.S. bonds fund. Why more could be on the way? Investors aren't worrying about higher costs of living. They have poured some $46 billion into inflation-linked bond funds over the past 15 months, with an eye on protecting their wealth from higher prices. 2 weeks ago, $3.2 billion flood of funds poured into the U.S., by far the largest one-week inflow on record for the asset class. Why are these massive inflows happening? I've talked about in news videos on Kraken, the reverse repo rate, getting over $1 trillion. Is there a known about demise coming? Are these foreign entities already in the know that the US dollar, the US power control structure, has already crumbled? On the public eye, will crumble still in the coming months, but do they already know what we just haven't realized yet? What we as Americans are too complacent to see. Now, General Motors GM on Friday is issuing a new recall for nearly 69,000 Chevrolet Bolt electric vehicles worldwide for a fire risk after reports of 2 fires will replace the defective battery models as needed. This is more systematic drop feeding of things and chips. These electric vehicles are on the rise in all markets and all automotive makers, right? Is this something that was supposed to be one of those drop-feeded techs? They quote here that they were using new chips, to get away from that chip shortage that I've talked about. Is there something going wrong, right? simultaneous presence of two rare manufacturing defects in the same battery cell as the root of the cause of battery fires in certain Chevrolet Bolt EVs. You have to wonder here, is there a global shift using alien tech to reform everything on a geopolitical, spiritual, mass consciousness-based level? They are doing an amazing job of destabilizing the faith in the United States. You have a worldview of the U.S. lower opinionated than it has ever been ever before, right? People do not think the U.S. knows what it's talking about anymore. I mean, the DoD, the Pentagon, and U.S. intelligence says it never could have seen Afghanistan falling the way that it did so fast. Well, if they couldn't see that coming, because it seemed very apparent, if they couldn't see that coming, what else aren't they seeing? What else are they missing? What other foreign thing are they not known about and able to withstand and fight back from right now? Per their own DoD slides at the beginning of the video, there's lots that they can't protect U.S. national interests against, right? So, at the same time, I will play devil's advocate here. Is this part of the destabilization on purpose? Is this Lou Elizondo's agenda, Academy to the Stars, trying to say, we don't know what these are and they're way more powerful than us, and only to the effect of drumming up massive budget increases, massive shift in militaristic tendencies? We know that in the past decade or so, the U.S. has gotten less interested in its military spending, right? Well, they do need something to drum that back up. They need something to drum that back up in order to then bring out new tech, bring out better tech, bring out tech to fight these threats that they're quoting to us, right? I mean, that's just a different angle on it. I call on anyone in the comments, give me your perspectives. I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and we'll be back soon.